Readers, sorry. Hi readers, welcome back to my channel, Lila Wanders and Reads. Lee here, and welcome to my weekend books. This week I read 3 books, and before I start talking about them, I considered doing that thing that everyone else does called Friday Reads. But when I looked into it, some people use it to talk about the books they read that past week, but other people, what they're reading this Friday, I guess on the weekend. But it seems like everybody else reads more on the weekend. I don't. I read less on the weekends. I read a lot during the work week because that's how I kind of wind down my day. In the weekend, I've got chores going on, mowing the yard. I'll be glad when that is over for the season. And I just don't sit down as long to read. Anywho, so I decided not to do Friday Reads because My Weekend Books really is a better title. Anywho, let's get started. So I will do a book haul maybe about this someday. But the local Barnes & Noble had a buy one, get one 50% off on all paperback romances. So naturally, I took advantage of that. And one of the books I got is the first book I read this week, and that is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. I have seen this in the bookstore a million times, but then I saw that her 3rd book was out, and so I thought, well, I'll just get all 3 and a 4th rom-com and see where it takes me. So I gave this a shot, and I really enjoyed this book. Let me tell you what it's about. Ooh, not with these glasses. Woo! Fingerprinty. Okay. Their love was supposed to last forever, but when life delivered blow after devastating blow, as it does, Yasmin and Josiah Wade found that love alone couldn't solve or save everything. It couldn't save their marriage. Yasmin wasn't prepared for how her life fell apart, but she's finally starting to find joy again. She and Josiah have found a new rhythm, co-parenting their 2 kids and running a thriving business together. Yet like magnets, they're always drawn back to each other, and now they're beginning to wonder if they're truly ready to let go of everything they once had. Soon, one stolen kiss leads to another, and then more. It's hot. It's illicit. It's all good until old wounds reopen. I think that's a little dramatic for what actually happened, but whatever. Is it too late for them to find forever, or could they even be better the second time around? Like I said, I enjoyed this book. For once, I connected first with the male main character, Josiah. I think it's because when we first meet Yasmin, her friends were all around, and they're so loud that you can't really hear her. Later on, I got to know her a little bit better, and I connected with her. I just feel like I should have met her first, and then friends maybe a couple chapters later, because they drowned her out. And I know that they were important to her and essential to her in her recovery from grief. And so the other 2 books are about them. I look forward to reading them. I couldn't hear Yasmin at first. It took a lot longer to hear her than it did Josiah, which was instant because it starts with him. I loved the way Kennedy Ryan writes about grief and loss. And this is my favorite quote from the book. I thought about painting it on my door. So Yasmin is upset about something, and Hendrik says, I need you to find your happy place, go there, and bring a bad bitch back. Loved that line. So I look forward to reading the rest of this trilogy, and whenever I get to it, I'll let you know what I think about it. So this week had highs and lows. Next up is a low, and I'm sad about that because I really wanted to like it, and that is Sunburn by Chloe Michelle Howarth. Let me tell you what it's about. It's the early 1990s in the small town of Crossmoor, Ireland, and Lucy knows what she's expected to do. Fall in love with the son of the farmer next door, marry him, pray for children, and never, under any circumstances, reveal the truth that she doesn't think marriage or motherhood or staying in Crossmoor is for her. That the reason she knows this is her close friend, Susanna. For years, Lucy buries her obsession into one summer night right before graduation when her friendship with Susanna escalates. It is both the best and worst thing that's ever happened to Lucy, and she will do anything to keep their secret safe, even if that means going against Susanna's wishes and continuing to hide their relationship. Here's what I liked about this book. I appreciated that she does a good job of illustrating small town life. Doesn't have to be Ireland, could be anywhere, where you're put into a box and expected to be a certain way, a certain thing, a certain profession, a certain sexuality. That and if you get outside that book, there's that box, there's consequences, most often negative, and that is what I appreciated the most about this. What I didn't like is this is all told from inside Lucy's head. And I have this problem when it's all thinking, and not a lot of action, or action only perceived or viewed through the lens of that person's mind. I made a comment somewhere on the internet that I don't even want to be in my own head that much. So much less be in the headspace of someone, a teenage girl specifically. I've been there. I don't want to do that again. But it just, I think I would have appreciated more from a different point of view. Anywho, so this was a disappointment. I finished it because I wanted to see what happened at the end, and I found it a little bit anticlimactic. Again, I had been in Lucy's head for so long, I was tired. So I skimmed a lot in that. Next up was a book that did drag a teens in the middle, but one that I truly enjoyed, and that is Joe Piazza's Everyone is Lying to You. Social media, trad wives, sign me up. They call it Gone Girl, but make it trad wives. I totally agree. I'm trying to find if there's any. No, there's some clues in here, but there's not anything that stuck out to me as a line. Lizzie and Bex were best friends in college. After graduation, Bex vanished, leaving Lizzie confused and devastated. 15 years later, Bex is now Rebecca Summers, a traditional lifestyle Instagram influencer with millions of followers who salivate over her perfect life on her ranch with her 5 children and handsome husband. I swear it could have said she had 6 children. Anywho, it's a lot of kids. So I think that there's a discrepancy between the back and the inside. And handsome husband Gray. Lizzie is a struggling magazine writer, watching reels while her young children demand her attention. This is probably one of the worst blurbs I've read. Out of the blue, Bex calls Lizzie, technically she texts her, with a career-making proposition, an exclusive interview with her about her multi-million-dollar business venture, and an invitation to Mom Bomb, the high-profile influencing conference. At the conference, Bex goes missing and Gray is found brutally murdered on their ranch. Lizzie finds herself plunged into the dark side of the cutthroat world of social media, which includes jealousy, sordid affairs, swingers, and backstabbing. She must learn who her old friend has become and who she has double-crossed to try and find her, clear her name, and maybe even save her life. I enjoyed this. I mean, give me anything with influencers and I'm going to lap it right up as long as the writing's good. And the writing was good on this. There were some twists, things that I did not expect, but I really enjoyed this book. So, that is all. I thought that I might be able to finish a 4th book, but again, I started on Thursday and finished it. I did not finish it. I read a little bit on Friday, I read a little bit on Saturday, but it is a really heavy book, and that is The Book of Records by Madeline Teen. Madeline Teen. Again, really deep book, and it actually has a connection to what I'm reading on the nonfiction side, and I will tell you about that. I'm not going to read what this is about. I'll save that for next week. It's conceivable that this could be the only book I read next week. I'm not even halfway yet. It's just a really slower read, which is fine. It's slower does not mean bad. This week, also, I don't know. Oh, I know what prompted me to do it. I'll save that. I'm listening to The Third Reich at War by Richard J. Evans. This is the third in a trilogy about really Germany, the Third Reich. The first one is, I forgot the name. Anyway, it's about, pre-war, the Weimar era. Then it's about Germany, the Third Reich in power. And then now this is at war. And I am trying to listen to a couple hours because I've got 22, 23 hours left on it. And I really don't think I'm going to make it to finish it by the end of the month. Anywho, great listen. I'm just loving it. But he mentions in this series William Shire's Berlin Diary a lot, and I have a copy of that. It is a very old library copy, 1941 edition. And this, William Shire wrote a book called, I think it's The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. It's like 1,000 pages. It's that thick. I've not been able to read it or to finish it. I started it last year and then it got pushed to the side. I think I will be able to read it better now, having read, or when I finish his diary. I'm this far in it, and I just started this week. This is my purse book, which I'm bringing back. For a long time, I would carry a book around in my purse and read it when I got the chance, out to eat, at an appointment, something like that. So I stopped doing that for a while, but I've brought it back, and this is fascinating. So William Shirer he calls it Berlin Diary, but it's really kind of European because he's all over the place in here. And it covers the period. He wrote it with the idea that one day it may be published. Because if you were in Europe at the time, you could see what was happening. He mentions this covers 1934 to it says 1941. It really stops in December of 1940. And he writes in here, I just got to September 1939 when the war starts. He writes in here, he goes home for a while to the U.S., and America is just kind of oblivious to everything going on in Europe. They know there's not going to be a war. But all the European correspondents, he worked with Ed Murrow, CBS, in setting up radio broadcasts of what was going on in Europe to send back to New York and other places. But all the European correspondents know Europe is headed to war, and it's just fascinating. I've learned some things because he'll mention something that I'm not aware of, and then I go look that up, so it's a little bit slower reading, but it's fascinating. If there are newer copies of this book, I highly, highly recommend it if you are interested in World War II history at all. It's just, there are some parts in there, and I've got to be careful with it because it's very old, where he's like, this is going to happen. And then I know from being a student of history that it happens. And then later on in the book, it happens, like Germany invading Poland. Anywho, that is it. That is my reading week. I hope you've had a good reading week. I'm looking forward to next week, trying to make some changes in my life, and I'll talk about that later maybe. Anywho, as always, if you've made it this far, thank you for sticking with me on my journey, and happy reading.